All right, Judges chapter 20.
I just
What?
want to read this little thing that I
Yes.
came across this morning because we had this question at the end of yesterday. In reporting the events of, what is it, Gibeah? Where did that happen?
Yeah.
Gibe,
Gibeah.
Gibeah. The man conveniently left out the fact that he had handed his concubine to satisfy the mob's demands. He wanted justice for the threats made against himself rather than placing any value on the life of the woman or holding himself partially responsible for her death. How easy it is to give only partial facts or twist events to remove our own capability when we are seeking to shift blame to others. This incident reveals the depths of perversion and violence that develop when a culture abandons God's ways. But remember yesterday, Cindy, I think it was you who said when he sent those body parts, did he include the fact that he was responsible for her death?
I like that. I didn't think about that. That he wasn't getting a vengeance for her. I was kind of confused about that because he had no care about the fact that she died. It wasn't vengeance for her. It was
He
vengeance
wanted
for
justice for
him.
the threats made against himself. I just thought that was interesting after the end of our conversation yesterday.
Yeah. I made note on that. Okay, chapter 20 is a long chapter. Um, Kim, do you want to start reading and then just kind of give us the address of where you're at once in a while, and then when you're ready to pass it off, just call someone's name.
I can do that. All right. Judges 20. Israel attacks the tribe of Benjamin. Then the entire nation of Israel sent their leaders and 450,000 troops to assemble with one mind before the Lord at Mizpah. They came from as far away as Dan and Beersheba and everywhere between, and from across the Jordan and the land of Gilead. Word of the mobilization of the Israeli forces at Mizpah soon reached the land of Benjamin. The chiefs of Israel now called for the murdered woman's husband and asked him just what had happened. We arrived one evening at Gibeah, a village in Benjamin, he began. That night, the men of Gibeah surrounded the house, planning to kill me, and they raped my wife until she was dead. So I cut her body into 12 pieces and sent the pieces throughout the land of Israel, for these men have committed a terrible crime. Now then, sons of Israel, express your mind and give me your counsel. Verses 8, 9, and 10. And as one man they replied, not one of us will return home until we have punished the village of Gibeah. A tenth of the army will be selected by lot as a supply line to bring us food, and the rest of us will destroy Gibeah for this horrible deed. So the whole nation united in this task. Verse 12. Then messengers were sent to the tribe of Benjamin, asking, did you know about the terrible thing that was done among you? Give up these evil men from the city of Gibeah, so that we can execute them and purge Israel of her evil. But the people of Benjamin wouldn't listen. Instead, 26,000 of them arrived in Gibeah to join the 700 local men in their defense against the rest of Israel. Among all these, there were 700 men who were left-handed sharpshooters. They could hit a target within a hair's breadth, never missing. The army of Israel was not counting the men of Benjamin, numbered 400,000 men. 18.
So apparently there were still some men there, even though they were homosexuals that were warriors. So when it says about the Benjamin came together, the tribe of Benjamin came to help this town that raped that woman.
I was wondering too in 15, where did these 26,000 come from that arrived in Gibeah to join the 700 local men?
It said Benjamin out of their cities, Benjamin mustered out of their cities.
verse 15. Yeah. Okay. See, mine just says 700, or excuse me, 26,000 of them.
Mine says, and the people of Benjamin mustered out of their cities on that day 26,000 men who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, who mustered 700 chosen men. Among all these were 700 chosen men who were left-handed.
Mhm.
And then it says, and the men of Israel apart from Benjamin, so that would be beyond the 26,000 and the 700, mustered 400,000 men who drew the sword. All of these men were men of war. I was trying to remember which tribe was it? Was it the Reubenites or the Benjamites that could shoot both? They were ambidextrous.
I think that was the Benjamites
I was thinking that too.
because we had a discussion on what that meant being left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure it was the Benjamites.
So it sounds like there were 26,000.
Plus 400,000 plus 7.
26,000 of them arrived in Gibeah to join the 700 local men. And then among all of those combined, there were 700 who were left-handed. And then the army of Israel, minus the men of Benjamin, were 400,000.
Yeah, I think the 400,000 are the Israelites.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and they're going to war against Benjamin.
So there's like 26,000 plus arriving 700, 26,700 of the Benjamites against 400,000 Israelites.
I thought they were coming together because up here it says in verse 2, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God 400,000. Then if you go back down, it says,
They're the Israelites.
yeah, but those people in Gibeah were Israelites too.
Yeah, no, but they're the bad people.
Defenders.
They're the bad people in this story.
Yeah.
They're the Benjamites. The Israelites are going to fight the Benjamites.
And the men of Israel, apart from Benjamin.
Yeah, they're not together.
Yeah,
Look.
400,000.
Yeah, because in the very beginning in verse 20, it says the entire nation of Israel sent their leaders and 450,000 troops to assemble with one mind. They came as far away as Dan and Beersheba. Word of the mobilization of the Israeli forces at Mitzpah soon reached the land of Benjamin. And the chiefs of Israel called for the murdered
Where are you
woman's.
at?
I went all the way back up to the beginning,
Oh,
1
okay.
through 3.
Okay.
And Dan
to Beersheba would be the clear north to clear south. Because Dan's clear at the top and Beersheba is clear at the bottom. So they're saying all of Israel.
Oh, so it does say in 8, 9, and 10, not one of us will return home. And then this is the sons of Israel, express your mind and give me your counsel.
Oh, you're
and
right. Because in verse 9 it says, we will do to Gibeah. Lori's right.
Yes.
So they're coming up against Gibeah. Are you passing on or are you continuing there, Kim?
We'll go ahead and pass on there. This is we're at verse
18.
yes.
18.
Who are you passing it to?
Go ahead, Gretchen.
You're muted, Gretchen, in case you don't know.
Okay. We're on verse
18.
And the children of Israel rose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? Hold on, I need to get my readers. And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. Numbers 27:21. Mine has references to other scripture.
Okay.
And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin, and the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 20 and 2,000 men. Genesis 49:27. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. 23. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until even, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Lord said, go up against him. Judges 20:26. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel, again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Judges 20:21. And all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came into the house of God and wept, and sat there before the Lord, and fasted that day until even, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. Judges 20:18.
Is it referring back to
Yeah.
let me see what that 2018 is.
And the children of Israel rose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God and said,
Okay.
which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the
Okay.
Lord said, Judea shall go up first. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. Joshua 18:1. And the Phinehas, the son of Eleazar,
Mhm.
the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, shall I yet go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thine hand. Deuteronomy 10:8. And Israel set liers in wait round about Gibeah. What's liers? Liars?
How you spell it?
Liers.
My Bible says ambush.
Oh. Maybe another name for ambush then?
Joshua 8:4. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and they began to smite of the people and kill, as at other times in the highways of which one goeth up to the house of God, and other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, they are smitten down before us as at the first. But the children of Israel said, let us flee and draw them from the city unto the highways. And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place and put themselves in array at Balatamar.
Maybe Baal
Beltamar, and the liers in which, and the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their palaces, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore. But they knew not that evil was near them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of Benjamites that day, 20 and 5,000, and 100 men. All these drew the sword. So the children of Benjamin saw that they were smitten, for the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liers in wait, which they had set beside Gibeah. And I guess it's liars, liers. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired in the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill all the men of Israel, about 30 persons, for they said, surely they are smitten down before us, as in the first battle.
What verse
But
did you
then
say?
40.
Thank you.
But then when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the 41, and when the men of Israel turned again, and the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them.
I don't have
Or-
amazed. I have dismayed. Does anybody else have something there?
What verse is that?
41.
She had amazed. Mine said dismayed.
Mine says the men of Benjamin were terrified.
Mine
That's
says
what mine
terrified.
has.
Mine says
Terrified?
Terrified.
Except for they saw that evil was come upon them. 42. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness, but the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. 43. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trod them down with ease over Gibeah toward the sun rising, or from Metcha. 44. And there fell of Benjamin 8,000 men, for these were men of valor. 45. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gidom, and slew 2,000 men of them. Joshua 15:32. 46. So that all which fell that day of Benjamin were 20 and 5,000 men that drew the sword. All those were men of valor. 47. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. 48. And that was Judges 21:13 is what it referenced. 48. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of their sword, as well the men of every city as the beast. And all that came to hand also they set on fire, all the cities that they came to.
Wow. This is their own relatives.
Yep.
Family fight.
And just because that one man had his wife killed and sent out those body parts and letters.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking, like, how corrupt was the Benjamites? If they would have went to Gibeah and thought that was okay, like side with them,
Yeah,
that means they probably were participating in the same behavior.
correct.
My footnote at the bottom, it references 46 through 48, and it says the effects of the horrible rape and murder should never have been felt outside the community where the crime happened. The local people should have brought the criminal to justice and corrected the laxness that originally permitted the crime. Instead, the first town and then the entire tribe defended this wickedness, even going to war over it. To prevent unresolved problems from turning into major conflicts, firm action must be taken quickly, wisely, and forcefully before the situation gets out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
I have a footnote that's interesting, and just as far as the timeline. It says the reference to Phineas as high priest and the location of the tabernacle in Bethel instead of Shiloh probably indicate that the events of the story occurred during the early years of the judges.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's why Gretchen's kept referring back.
Yeah, and then it says this is the only place in Judges where the Ark of God, also called the Ark of the Covenant, is mentioned. This probably indicates how seldom the people consulted God. And that was in the beginning of Judges.
What verse was the Ark of the Covenant in? I did reading it.
No. It's maybe verse 27, 28.
Yeah.
Yep, there it
Yeah.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's the only time mentioned in Judges.
And my footnote at the bottom for chapter 13, I'm going to kind of not read the whole thing, but basically it says, by covering for their kinsmen, the entire tribe of Benjamin sunk to a level of immorality as low as the criminals. And we get a glimpse of how thoroughly the nation's moral fabric had unraveled. The time period of Judges ends in bloody civil war. And then this part that's interesting, that sets the stage for spiritual renewal to come under Samuel, see 1 Samuel.
So remember, it said this was like an appendix, not chronological. So that's probably a good point to make, that it was likely at the beginning. Because it was, it was not in Shiloh, it was in Gibeah. Is that what yours said, Kim?
What did you say?
Did you say that they said that the ark was not in Shiloh but in Gibeah?
The ark was in the location of the tabernacle in Bethel instead of Shiloh probably indicates that the events of this story occurred during the early years of the Judges, because it's in Bethel instead of Shiloh.
Okay. Indicates.
Have we read about it? When did we read about the ark being moved?
Well, we read that God said, remember, like, you don't choose where the worship's going to happen. I choose it's going to be one place and everybody comes there, and that's where all the sacrifices happen. So Shiloh would have been the end where they all went to worship. So I think what they're saying here is, because it was not in Shiloh, it had to be like a much earlier period.
Yeah.
My commentary says the Lord gave his counsel from the location of the ark at Shiloh. Where are we getting Bethel? What verse?
It says up in 26, then all the people of Israel, the whole army, went up and came to Bethel and wept. They sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until evening and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the people of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Penias, so the high priest, was there also. Penias, the son of Aaron. Remember, he was the one that got all worked up because the Transjordans created that reminder across the Jordan. Remember, he was the one that got all spicy about it. Ministered in those days, saying, shall we go out once more to battle against our brothers, the people of Benjamin, or shall we cease? And the Lord said, go.
Chrissy, did I misunderstand you? Did you say this book is not chronological, or did I misunderstand you?
No, it's not a chronological.
It's thematically.
Yeah.
Thematically, not chronologically.
Yeah.
which we love when they do that because it drives us crazy.
So that's why I was wondering when if it's in Bethel and it's referring this event took place in the beginning of Judges and it's in Bethel. Have we read where did we read about them taking peace offerings and doing sacrifices in Bethel? Because I haven't been focusing on that. So I don't recall reading. And I went back to Shiloh in my index, and there's no reference in Judges of Shiloh.
Well, Shiloh is where eventually the tabernacle ended up.
But
Is that where Solomon eventually? We may have to call Stan in on this one.
oh, I know, because the Bible's not chronological, so we don't know where in the Bible this event in Judges. I mean, even though this is in the beginning of Judges,
Yeah.
saying we don't know where this event occurred in the context of the Bible.
Yeah, Judges is snuggled chronologically. It is snuggled in after It is after Joshua, so it is the time period. So this is like the history books. So Joshua, Judges, then we have Ruth, and then the Samuels, which would eventually bring us to the Kings.
It's too much to kind of show it, but in my Bible, towards the beginning of it, it has key places in Judges and it has a map, and then it breaks it down into all the different places and says what happens in those different places, which is kind of interesting. I could take a picture and send it if you want.
Well, and there were a bunch of things that happened at Shiloh. Remember, because it talks about Abraham, it talks about different battles.
Yes, Sue, I would like that if you could do that.
Yeah, it's funny though, they don't have Shiloh in it. They have like Bochum, Jericho, Hazar.
Cindy,
Hill of
doesn't your
Moriah.
Bible have it at the beginning of Judges on page
Yeah.
468?
Yeah, it's page 360, 360, 374 on mine. But yeah.
Key places in Judges. Doesn't it have it, Cindy, at the beginning of Judges? I
You mean
thought
in my
ours.
Bible?
Yeah, I thought ours was about the same.
No, I don't have that.
Sorry.
I don't know if I have everybody, but I'll send it to Chrissy.
Oh, that's right. Because you're not. Yeah, send to me and then I'll forward it to everybody. Oh, it took us all this time. Well, we only really had a half hour just to read that. Kim, I really appreciated your research into Lachish also.
Sure.
I need to make notes of that.
I had to find out. And there was more about that family of
Dan.
Benjamin. Yeah, well, not of Benjamin. And well, I'd have to go back and look at my notes. What was it? The Benjamite. So the Benjamite, there's a family. And that's like,
Well, they would be one of the 12 tribes.
yeah.
But they
And
all were family. They all were brothers.
Yeah.
Back to.
There was just a lot of info about that. That's all I'm saying. I didn't read into all of it, but I was trying to figure out. I just don't. Do y'all remember David's wife being given?
Yeah.
The Benjamite? Okay. I need to go back and look at that again.
That would have been Saul's daughter. I call her Mikkel. I'm not sure that that's how you say her name, but Mikkel.
Yeah, that looks right.
All right. Well, we will not get to the commentaries today, but tomorrow morning we're meeting at 8 o'clock. So don't forget, mark your calendar, your phone, or whatever. So we'll meet from 8 to 9.
Chrissy, I did send it, but I had to send it in Messenger.
Okay, I'll try and download it from there.
Okay.
All right. This concludes reading of God's Word for today. We will pick up with the 3 commentaries tomorrow.
All right. See you at